So this is the 90-90 squat or the Shinbox position. This has become very popular in the last few years. As I wrote, I sort of became familiar with it in the early 2000s, learning from people with martial arts backgrounds because it's a position they would use quite a bit, which makes sense because martial arts is a athletic endeavor that requires a lot of hip mobility to create rotational power. Now, people have made it like a mystical exercise. It's not really that. We're just going to go over some basic fundamentals of what we can learn about this position. For some of your clients, all we simply want to do first and foremost is see, can they sit in a nice tall position like Jessica's doing right now? If they're trying to get in this position and it's causing massive discomfort where you're seeing tension in the face, grimacing, and great discomfort, then we're going to see the nervous system shut down. So, example 2 is if Jessica has to lean or put her hands on the ground to keep in that position. So if we're in a position like this, it's going to be very hard to do a lot of work from this position because we're in so much discomfort that our nervous system's battling the position. What I really want to see is mostly this back leg. Can we have that leg come down towards the ground, that internal rotation of the hip that most people lack? Can we be in that position comfortably? And we want to sort of compare it from side to side because we might have a situation where Jessica's very good in this position. If I ask her to switch the legs, she's still pretty good, but she might find one side more uncomfortable than the other, which is normal. But I want to see, can she sit normally on one side, and then she has to compensate when she gets to the other side. When we see big differences in mobility from side to side, that's when we know that our body's probably creating rotation in a bad way. For example, when we're squatting and when our pelvis has to be neutral because we have difference in mobility from side to side in our hips. So again, I'd rather her be equally immobile than having a big asymmetry in mobility from side to side. But this is a great starting point. So basically all we're doing at this time is seeing if rotational training is a good choice for her. She is at that position where she has to lean and create stability on the ground. Then we may not go into true rotational training yet. We may spend more time in anti-rotational training to build up the core stability and create that connection to the chains that will give her that mobility by that proximal stability. So for a lot of your clients, getting in a Shinbox position will be extremely challenging for them. So again, we want to be able to modify it and help give them feedback upon how to be in this position. Especially a lot of your male clients who generally have extremely tight hips, this can be very problematic, learning how to come up from the bottom to the top position. So again, we could say use your glutes, but that's meaningless to your client. We want to give them some actual feedback of how to extend their hips into this position. So what I have is a moderate band around Jessica's pelvis. So again, we don't want it too high up. We want it to be based around the bony parts of her hip. So what she's going to do is she's going to try to stay tall just right now. We're not going to add any of the weight variances. And I want her to try to push through the band to bring her hips forward. And you see at the top, this forces her to engage her glutes by pushing against the band, but also again, applying some pressure on her feet. Now for a lot of your clients, they may be able to come all the way back to the bottom. That's fine. Nice, just like Jessica did. Nice and decelerating. So again, one of the things I'm looking for in this case is Jessica's ability to decelerate her hips as she lowers herself. So again, if Jessica comes up for a second, if she just sort of gets to a point and sort of just falls, so just go down slow and like that, that means we potentially have some problems learning how to decelerate in our hips, learn how to absorb force, and that could be a reason we're also having back issues. So again, this is not, we just want to see the sign of the hips being able to extend. We want to be able to see them control the descent as well. Now for some of your clients, they can't get in this position. This is too difficult. So if Jessica comes up, we may actually work a lot of the positioning from here. So this top position. So a lot of your clients could actually function from here. And again, we don't want to put them in a position where they're having great discomfort, so this can be very friendly. Now what we do is just work at short range for a lot of your clients, so they don't have to come down the ground. Just work within a short range and just learning how to use the hips as she goes into motion. So again, we can just sort of teach them within the range of motion they possess how to start engaging. What you'll find is, go ahead and relax, Jessica, that a lot of people, as they start working through those progressions, as they start working through those ranges, their body starts to free up as they start getting more familiar with how to use their body. Because a lot of the restrictions, a lot of the lack of mobility is due to their body not giving themselves permission because the body doesn't feel stable in that environment. So as we can make the body go, okay, this is friendly, this is not going to hurt so much, then we start to add their progression. So any of the drills that you see that we can use in that top position, that top shin box. and we can do the same things to orient people into a lot of these movements, and we can even work some of that get up positioning that we'll break down shortly into that top position only. So again, don't be afraid to deconstruct some of these movement patterns to find the point of entrance that allow your clients to can access. So again, you don't have to do it from the bottom position. That just gives you some gauge that we may have some hip mobility problems, but also realize that there just might be better environments for your client to perform from.